Hey everyone, it is Aunt Carla from Marie Lazo on Instagram, and I would like to welcome you to the first episode of Ask Auntie. So since I stopped doing my weekly masterclass, and since I went from weekly to monthly, I have decided to keep that community feeling going by doing a live YouTube video every Sunday at that same time. And I did try a recording earlier today on IG, but the recording didn't work. I wasn't able to save it. So I'm going to be doing a brand new version of the same material, but I'm just doing it, without audience. So anyway, welcome to the Ask Auntie show. I am Aunt Carla. So since we are not doing our weekly classes, our weekly master classes, and now I'm going to be doing on a monthly basis, I'm going to be doing on those other 3 Sundays, the Ask Auntie show. It's going to be an hour-long show on YouTube where you can tune in and ask questions. And then you can also check out the replays. And it's just another place for us to keep that great community feeling going. So now, if you are tuning in today on Sunday, January 31st, I want to let you know that next Sunday, February 7th, we will be having our next masterclass, and that will be on ultimate love magic. So we will be talking about love spells, of course, but I'm also going to be adding some brand new material, including some self-love spells. So that's going to be really cool. So make sure that you tune in for that, and I will have the link down below. If you haven't already signed up for it, you can sign up for that masterclass at queenupclub.com/ultimate. Okay, so I have a topic for this week, or definitely for today's show, and it's about discovering your magic. So whether you are on the magical traditions such as hoodoo or Wicca or some kind of neo-pagan, path, we all have things that we can learn, and we all can grow and share with each other. So I love to have everyone together and welcome and learning from each other, because I love the commonality. And one of those commonalities are, people ask me all the time, one of these questions: am I a witch? Or how do I know that I'm a witch? So I wanted to address this first. I wanted my first show to kind of talk about how to discover your magic and how to get ready to go deeper into your practice, because as spiritual people, spiritual practitioners, we want to learn and grow. So one of those first questions that many of us ask ourselves is, am I a witch? How do I know I'm a witch? So I want to help people kind of figure that out. So I want to start by referencing this book, The Healing Power of Witchcraft by Meg Rosenbriar. And it's a new witch's guide to spells and rituals to renew yourself and your world. Meg Rosenbriar is the co-founder of Witch With Me, the great community on Instagram. And if you would like to get more into your practice and meet more people, that is a definite an account that you want to check out. So this book has a lot of rituals and spells for healing and taking care of yourself. And I think it has like over 100, but I've been like obsessed with the beginning part of the book, the foundations. She's talking about foundations of your path. How are you finding your path as a witch, as a magical person? And one of the questions that she addresses is the one that I get probably the most often. How do I know that I'm a witch? How do I become a witch? Or what are the signs that I might be a witch? So I want to reference her answers because they're so kind of awesome. So one of the things she has in it, she has a list. So I want you to listen to these signs and ask yourself if they resonate with you at all, okay? So questions like, you may feel a special relationship with the moon and the stars, or you might find yourself staring at the moon, having a feeling like a special connection with it. Is that you? Or maybe it's animals. Animals might be drawn to you. Let's say ladybugs find you, butterflies love to fly around you, or maybe stray animals, they find you, they know where you are and they always come your way. That could be a thing. You might feel deeply connected to the seasons, to, the cycles of nature and perhaps, plants and how they grow at different times of the year. Is that you? Or you might be called to collect different gifts from the earth, whether that is rocks, shells, bones, crystals, things like that. Could that be something that resonates with you? You might be an empath, a highly sensitive person, or you might be very intuitive and you just have a knowing about things. So there's just something very mystical about that you just know. Or it could be that you are calmed by water, either by being submerged in it or being near it. So you might have a special connection to water. There is a water witch by the name of Anwin Avalon. She teaches a lot about water magic and things like the spirits that are present in different bodies of water, whether they be rivers or lakes or oceans. And that's really fascinating. And let's see, what else is there? There are, you might like notice repeating numbers, 4444, 1111. You might notice those connections and those other seemingly coincidental patterns. That might be you. You might reject contemporary patriarchal based religions. I know that is my thing because I'm like, divine feminine has a place in religion and spirituality. So you might feel like, well, my church, they don't really recognize, women as significant. And, that's a problem. So definitely that might be resonating with you. You may seek community based on commonality, not hierarchy. So in the Sunday school masterclasses, I have everyone is from different magical paths. It's not just one. So whether you are, if you're a Santeria, you're not any better or worse than someone from Wicca. Like everyone is on a same even level. What brings us together is our spiritual path. And then you may feel compelled to help others, to heal other people, whether that's potions or listening to someone or candle magic. You may just be a natural healer. So these are signs that you may actually be a witch. And that's a sign, and that's just a starting point when you think about it, because once you start to recognize, because some of you have reached out to me and you're like, ever since I was a child, I knew that there was something different about me. I had dreams of things before they happened, or I smell things, and then when no one else is there, and you know that something is different, but you don't know exactly what, and you're just wondering what that is. Well, these are all signs that, yes, something is different about you, and it's not a bad thing, and it's nothing to be afraid of. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more later about, those different kinds of gifts. But for now, just know that when you feel these signs or you see these signs in your life, that yes, indeed, you might be a witch. Now, you want to go a step further. It's not enough to know that you have these gifts or these different talents, but to be a witch means to make that choice to be a witch, to take on the responsibility of learning about the path that you want to study. So if you want to be a carpenter or if you want to be a blacksmith, you are choosing a craft. So witchcraft and magic, they are crafts. So that means you have to learn. You have to learn about the tools. You have to learn, are there any rules? Are you going to get a teacher? Are you going to apprentice with someone? And you want to practice. Anything that is a craft must be practiced. You have to put things in action, but you also have the responsibility of learning. So you can't just ask someone, send a DM and ask them a question, and because you don't want to do the work. It's so very important to do that work. And if someone says Google it, that's not because they want to throw shade at you. It's because they want you to do that emotional labor of going on that search. When you Google something, or when you pick up a book and you start researching something or studying something, you go on this journey. It's both psychological, emotional, mental, and on this journey, you're learning so many different things, and you go into different rabbit holes and different other paths. And by the time you're done, perhaps, 2 hours later, 5 hours later, you have been enriched by that research. And we don't want to take that away from you. We want you to go deeply and study. And then we also want you to practice, because the only way to get better at anything is to suck first, or just to say you got to practice. You have to put the time in. To be a spiritual practitioner is a lifelong journey. Therefore, you can expect to never know everything, but to always keep yourself open and stay in that what the Buddhists call beginner mind, or beginner's mind. You want to stay open to learning new things, learning about different types of magic, different paths of magic, because also as you progress on this path, you will evolve. You will practice different things. You will learn different things. You will try a little of this and try a little of that. So pay attention, to your intuition and what signs that you might feel that you are a witch, but then take it a step further. To embody being a witch means practicing and researching, but definitely do it. Okay, so next thing, another thing that Meg mentions in her book, she mentions different kinds of witches. And some of these I thought were really interesting, and I want to share those as well. So there's different kinds of witches. And some of those include an elemental witch. So an elemental witch is a witch who has a special kinship with a particular element, or maybe a combination. So that could be earth, air, fire, or water, or as I said, a combination of those. And one example is Anwen Avalon on IG. She is a water witch. I just mentioned her before. And she even teaches a water magic class. For her, she knows it's all about the water. For some people, they know they're all about fire. I know candle magic is my jam. I'm into the fire, but I also like the earth, because my original tradition of hoodoo is all about plants and herbs. So, you might have a specific kind of kinship. You might be a crystal witch, so that's earth. So that's one. Another kind of witch is a cosmic witch. A cosmic witch is interested in astrology, moon phases, phases of the moon, and creating birth charts. That is another fascinating type of witch. And Luz Astral on IG, she is a great example of a cosmic witch, as she talks a lot about what's going on in any given day and what things are good to do on certain days, and she does birth charts for others. There's also the glamour witch. Glamour witch likes to work with love, beauty spells, self-love, enchantments. And Michael, the Glam Witch on IG, he's an example of the Glam Witch, because he's also quite glamorous and quite fabulous. So if you are interested in kind of magic that does that, you definitely want to check out Michael, the Glam Witch. I will make sure to have links down below. And then let's see, there's also hedge witches. Hedge witches, I try to remember the hedge witches by thinking they're on the edge, because they're on the edge in a couple of different ways. A hedge witch is usually a solitary witch and lives off to the side, like doesn't live like in the midst of everyone else. Like when you think about the witches that live in a hut, in the woods, that's usually a hedge witch. But a hedge witch also works with plants and herbs, and they work with like divination and in the liminal, like the in-between. We talk about on the edge between the future and the past, or reality and some other form of consciousness. So that is the hedge witch. There's a green witch. The green witch is a caretaker of plants and works with, trees and gardens, and they create wellness options that are based in nature. And my friend Urban Mystic Jungle. She is definitely a great example of a green witch. She works at like this nature sanctuary where one of her jobs was to create a butterfly garden. So she would grow these particular plants that attracted butterflies. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So that's one of the things she does. And then she has her own apothecary, and she creates all of these different teas from her plants and herbs. So that is definitely, example of a green witch. And then there are kitchen witches. So kitchen witches, they cook with magical intention. So if you are in the broom closet, you're a broom closet witch, you might want to try being a kitchen witch, because that is when you are cooking a meal, but you're using magic as you do it. So for example, instead, when you look like you are maybe creating like rosemary lemon chicken, but you're actually doing some kind of ritual with a different kind of magical intention involved. So that if you are in the broom closet, so to speak, kitchen witchery will be an easier way for you to practice your magic out in the open with anyone, without other people knowing what you're doing. Just a thought. Let's see. Another one is also related to the home, is the hearth witch. And that is a homemaker with magical intention. So if Martha Stewart, for example, was a witch, you might consider her a hearth witch, but like keeping the home cozy and creating like an atmosphere with magical intentions. So that is the hearth and the home, and making sure that everyone in it feels safe and loved. That is a magic all of its own. And you can also, add magical, your little magical spells to make that happen. So if that is your place if your home is like where your magic resides, then you may be a hearth witch. Then I'm adding some other ones. The art witch. Some people create magic with their art. And I'm not just talking about sigils, although those are included, those are magical symbols. But you might be an artist who creates paintings, but there may be some kind of magical intention that is involved in it. And then there's also music witches, and I believe I'm a music witch. That is a witch who creates or uses music to create magic. So I always tell people, if you like, at the end of your spell, after you've done with the candle, or after you've done the ritual part, you can play music with lyrics that are in alignment with your desired outcome. That's another way to incorporate music into your magic. Or maybe you're using something like binaural beats. There's like different frequencies that are involved, and people feel that they have been very helpful or beneficial for their desired outcome. And then there's also digital witches. Digital witches are those who use social media or the internet to cast spells. When you think about people who put like an evil eye on their Instagram feed because they want every evil eye to go blind, or they just want to deflect anyone who might be wishing them evil by posting an evil eye, that's being a digital witch. Or you might be making posts that have a particular digital, a magical intention. Whether or not you tell someone about it, that might be something that you're doing. So that's just, this is like very futuristic, but it is definitely a thing. And then finally, an eclectic witch is one who has a whole bunch of different pursuits. So you might be a little bit of a music witch, a little bit of a green witch, and a little bit of a cosmic witch. And, all of these things come together. Now, another people also use the word eclectic witch to describe people or witches who follow different magical paths. So like they mix and match, so they might mix a little Santeria with a little voodoo, and they just mix it up. Now, I don't know if that's allowed or not allowed, so I'm just making that up, so who knows. But some people like to mix different things up. They might have grown up in a particular tradition, and then they might add something else later on as they evolve as spiritual practitioners. As I said, this is something that happens. Now, for me, I used to say that I was an eclectic witch, and I believe that I am. However, I've been learning about this thing called chaos magic, and I was studying it, and I realized this kind of describes me. So chaos magic, it's sometimes referred to as success magic or results magic, because a results-based magic, because it's really focused on the end result. And if you study with me for any period of time, you know I'm kind of focused on what is your desired outcome. I'm always asking about that. And let's see, and chaos magic is kind of built around an experimental DIY kind of approach, and it strips all the different magical practices to their barest essence, and they can kind of mix and match. So they mix and match different practices, different paths in order to get a base, and they don't have a lot of the extra rituals that are involved. That is chaos magic, and I kind of feel like that's me. So that might be you too. So if you feel, if that interests you at all, then definitely go do some research. Do some more research on chaos magic or any of these other types of magic that I discussed, and and let me know down below what you think. So next, we want to talk about the clairs. This is what I call the clairs. The clairs are the different types of gifts, of intuitive gifts that many of us have. Some of us will have all of them. Some of us might have only one. Some of us will have maybe one that's really strong, and the others are kind of like, So the first clair is clairvoyance, and I think that one is the one that is probably the most popular, you hear about the most, and that is the ability to receive intuitive information through visions, pictures, or symbols. So to be clairvoyant is to have the ability to see things kind of on a spirit level. Some people call this second sight, and you might see things that manifest before they actually happen. You might see them happen before they happen, right? You might have precognition in dreams, but mostly you might just see images in your mind. That is what a clairvoyant person does. Now, the spirit woman on IG, she has some things like, you may be clairvoyant if you have a very active dream life, you often spend your days daydreaming, or maybe you're particularly imaginative. You may speak fluently in metaphors. You can see colors, shapes, objects, or pictures when you close your eyes for sleep or meditation. You may have begun to see like sparkly lights or flashes, or movements out the corner of your eye. And you might be just a visual person. So you might be a clairvoyant if you feel any of those things. So these are just ways. So clairvoyance is a way that messages come to you that aren't seen by necessarily other people, but you're able to see what's not there. So that is one of the gifts. That's the first clair, as I like to call them. The next clair is clairaudience, or clear hearing. So clairaudience is the ability to receive messages audibly, whether inside your mind, through song, and through speech. And so you're either hearing messages audibly or telepathically, and it means that maybe spirits might be conversing with you. You might have spirit guides or maybe ancestors who speak with you, and sometimes you may even be able to sense the thoughts of others. Does that resonate with you at all? Mm-hmm. And you may be speaking to your spirit guide in your mind, and they will reply, is that you? So I feel like that's definitely one of mine. I definitely have, a sassy spirit who definitely tells me things, and we're like always going at it. But I feel it's a she. She's always being very sassy and very strong, and she's always right. But also I get messages through songs. Now, I didn't realize that, this is a talent or a gift that I discovered years ago when I was single. And whenever I would go on a first date with someone, there would be a song eventually, because music is everywhere, right? There'd be a song that would be just a little louder during the whole time this date was going on, and the song would almost buzz in my head. And after a while, I started to realize that the song that I heard, ended up being a message about the person that was sitting in front of me, during this date. So for example, there was a time I went out with this guy and the song Hot Blooded by Foreigner came on. Hot blooded, check it and see. Anyway, and it turned out that this guy was like a swinger, or he had an open marriage with his wife, and he was hoping to, get to know me and bring me back home to the fold. Didn't happen, but I realized, oh, okay. And then there was another time, there was this guy that I went out with, and I just thought he was like really awesome. But the song I Can't Make You Love Me came on. I can't make you love me, by Bonnie Raitt. And it turns out that this guy, we dated for a few months, but then he went back to his girlfriend. So I was like, oh. And then my current husband, when we were first dating, I heard the song Gentle on My Mind. And that ended up being my clue that he was a good guy. He was a gentle, sweet guy and someone who would, treat me well. And that was true. So, that's my clairaudient story. So back to the spirit woman. You may be clairaudient. You may be clairaudient if you are more of a listener than a talker. You often talk to animals and plants, or you feel like they're communicating with you. Have you ever felt like you have received telepathic information from someone? Or sometimes you might find yourself giving profoundly helpful advice to someone, and then as soon as you say it, you're thinking to yourself, where did that come from? Like, it was really good, but you don't know, you're like, that didn't come from me. Like, I channeled that from somewhere. Has that ever happened to you? I know that's happened to me. That's definitely one of those other signs of being clairaudient. Another one is, have you begun to hear buzzing or ringing in your ear? Many people feel that is a message from spirit coming to you. Some people report knowing the difference between a buzzing or ringing in your left ear versus your right ear, saying that they have very different meanings. So people break that down, big time. So that might be meaningful to you. And you might tend to use the words I hear in a conversation when you're relating to others. So that's the clairaudient piece. So the next one is clairsentience, which is clear feeling. So to be clairsentient is to feel things strongly and to physically sense the emotions and feelings of people and animals, spirits and places around you in your heart and in your body. Now, closely related is clairempathy, and that is the awareness of emotional energy. So that means you're not feeling the physical, you're not feeling like the physical sensations of others, but you can sense them. So some people can feel like a physical pain that someone else is feeling, but some people can just sense like that person is hurt, that person is injured, that person is going through something. That is clairempathy. And a clairempath can enter an environment where an argument had just happened and can kind of sense that residual hurt. They can still feel whatever that happened in the air. And they can, if there was like some awful traumatic event that happened, they can feel that. That's some deep stuff. Is that you? And clairsentience also includes clairsalience, which is the ability of clear smelling. And that means you can detect scents from the spirit world. Some people are able to smell their grandmother's perfume or their father's, tobacco smoke. Or some people, smell roses when they believe that angels are near. That is clairsentience. Is that you? And you may be clairsentient if, says the spirit woman, if you are highly sensitive to your surroundings and you easily pick up on the vibe of a place or a person. You might be clairsentient if you can go to a place with large crowds and you have unexplainable physical or emotional reactions. Some of you empaths can definitely relate to this. I know you can't go to all these places where all these people are. You might be clairsentient if you can empathize with others easily knowing what they are feeling without even speaking to them, or you can feel the presence of spirits around, or feel something odd when you're in a place where a spirit might be. So these are different things that give you an idea that you may be clairsentient. And then finally, there is claircognizance, which is also known as clear knowing. So this is the claircognizance is the ability to just know the truth of a situation without any external evidence. So this knowledge can come to you spontaneously, and you know in your soul 100% that this is the situation without having any other clues that tell you what's going on. And you're like, I just know this, and you don't know why. And it turns out when you find out later that you were right, but you don't know why you were right. You had no one to tell you, but yet you knew stuff. And this information can come even in the forms of like facts or figures, or it could just be like just knowing something. Like, for example, your ex-girlfriend, you just know that she was cheating or she was just doing something. And it's not even just being suspicious. It's just like, you just know that something was up. So according to the spirit woman, you might be claircognizant if you receive the answer to something that you were wondering seemingly from nowhere, or if it's common for you to get really creative ideas, inspirational ideas out of nowhere. You tend to have an unquiet mind and, swirling with ideas, popping in and out, especially when you're at work or working on a creative project. And without explanation, you can tell whether or not someone is lying, And I mean, that's the thing, like, you see these memes, but it's really true. It's like, for certain people, you really don't need to be lying to them because they already know if you're on the up and up or not. So you just don't even get involved with someone who is claircognizant, because it's over before it's begun, because people are going to know. They're going to know what you did, and just don't even do it. So anyway, claircognizance, I think, is also one of the things that I have. I feel like I can sense a situation. I can sum up things really quickly without knowing why. But I think ultimately my strongest clair would be the clairaudience. Yeah, I think that's my thing. So do any of these ring true for you? Do any of these make any kind of, if they resonate, let me know below in the comments. And of course, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. So let me let you know that this Wednesday, February 3rd, is the launch of my new television show, my new TV show on Witch With Me TV. And it's called Aunt Carla's Coven. And it's going to be like a 5-minute piece. And the topic I'll be talking about is, am I a witch? And that's going to be on Instagram on the Witch With Me channel. And then next Sunday, February 7th, is a brand new Sunday School Masterclass, on Ultimate Love Magic. It's a brand new version of this class. I've taught this several times. I'm teaching it again. And it's going to feature a brand new spell or spells on self-love. And that, those classes are about 2.5 hours, long on Zoom. And if you haven't signed up for that, you can do so by going to thequeenupclub.com/ultimate, because it's the ultimate love magic class. And Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, that will be the launch of the next Ask Auntie show on YouTube, and it will be live. And that show is going to be about an hour. So just like this, but it will be really live, and you can like tune in and make comments and stuff. And, and it'll be a lot more fun than just watching. So, you can participate. And you can feel free to subscribe right now by going to, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Marie Lazeau, and you can get your notifications so you know when I'm going live. So that is me, Aunt Carla. I'm so glad that you were able to tune in to the first debut episode of Ask Auntie. And I wish you a magical day and a magical life. Bye.